Hello, my Destroyer armies. This is your Supreme Destroyer here, Evil Goku, and welcome back to another reaction video. And today we're gonna be reacting to a video called 3 Halloween Harlem Stories Animated by Modern Animation. If I'm saying it wrong or right, but they say I pronounced that. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna be reacting to do something quite different, and it's almost Halloween pretty soon, and it's October, so I decided why not just do this for once, for a little Halloween. So, yeah, probably much gonna get this started right now, so let's get into this, shall we? See what's going on.
My cousin Ethan and I grew up together, but I never liked him very much.
No,
his family was rich, so he always had the best stuff. Mine wasn't, and I didn't. On Halloween of 1985, we were going trick-or-treating together. I was the Terminator.
Trick-or-treat.
He was Freddy Krueger. His mask
Freddy
cost
Krueger
$100, and it looked exactly like Freddy's face. The scars,
good movies,
the
classic.
sneers, everything was just right. I didn't have a mask. My parents couldn't afford one. I had torn aluminum foil taped to the
What
side
the
of my
hell?
face.
Is this
It was
really
meant to look like the Terminator after some skin had been ripped off.
It's worth
A
it.
few splotches of ketchup on the foil were supposed to look like blood.
You could have
As soon as it
wear
dried,
a leather
it looked very
jacket,
little like dried blood,
but
and very much
you know,
like dried
resemble the
ketchup.
Terminator. So
Despite
just
my
wearing
terrible
that.
costume,
But
I was still
it's worth
excited to
it.
trick or treat. We didn't have candy very often at home, except maybe on Easter.
Boo.
My parents encouraged me to go to as many houses as I wanted to get all the candy I would be able to eat. It felt good to know they wanted me to be happy. Ethan and I went out at sundown.
Oh my
and
god,
visited
that
house
mask
after
can
house.
fit
Every
totally
time the
right.
homeowners would gush over Ethan's mask, they would tell him how scary it was, how realistic.
Wait,
Then
isn't
they would turn to me and ask me
Freddy
who I was supposed to be.
sweater should be
And then
red
they would
and
say
green,
something like,
not green
"Oh,
and
of
red?
course. How could I have missed it?" I could tell they felt sorry for me. One even handed me a few extra pieces of candy. When we were done, our pillowcases were stuffed with treats of every sort. We began the long walk back home. As we went, Ethan rooted around his bag of loot. I could hear him grumbling and complaining through his mask. Then he started throwing candy on the street.
Wow, you wasting
didn't like.
candy for that shit?
Go ahead and pick it up if you want it, Bill. I know you can't afford
What a
to let anything
stupid
go to
human.
waste.
He called out. He
And
threw
don't
a
you,
handful
why would you
after
pick it
handful
up?
into the
You
gutter.
don't pick it up.
I didn't say anything, but I reached into my pocket and pulled out a lighter and 2 cigarettes I had stolen from my dad. I'd been smoking on and off for the last few months.
Oh,
Even at 13,
do not smoke.
I knew it was
I
bad.
destroy your armies. It's
I
fucking bad
just
for you.
didn't care. It made me feel good.
Ugh.
I stayed a few steps behind Ethan as he tossed more candy away. As much as I hated myself,
What type of human really
I
wastes
ended up picking up
candy?
a few pieces off the ground and putting them in
Don't tell
my
me you're
bag.
gonna eat it.
Ethan caught me once and laughed.
You're gonna be as fat as your mum if you eat all that.
Oh
I
shit!
kept my mouth shut.
Is that why she got fired from the restaurant? Did
Oh,
she eat a customer's food?
I knew Ethan was
go
joking,
down.
as he did often. I'm sure in his mind he thought he was being harmless and playful. Still,
Nah, I don't know
I told
about
him more than a
that.
few times to leave my mom out of the jokes. She had diabetes, and she hadn't
Oh,
mentioned it to
damn.
anyone other than my dad and me. But the doctor told her that she might end up losing her foot.
Oh,
That's why the restaurant had to let her go. She couldn't walk around and wait tables anymore. Change the subject, Ethan.
well,
I
that
said.
sucks.
I knew he heard me, and he didn't talk for another minute or so, until he did again.
Wow.
Hey, you think her and your dad still fuck?
What
I wonder
the
how he
hell?
manages to get it in there.
Oh my god, this
He
dude is an
cackled,
asshole. I don't
then
like him.
insisted.
Okay.
They may want to kill him.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. Promise.
Oh yeah,
I
you
see,
promise.
As we took a shortcut
Never make
to
a
the
promise
elementary
like
school
that.
soccer field.
Let's stop here for a minute.
Ethan said. We had gotten to the
This
school
place is
playground.
creepy as heck.
I bet I could scare the shit out of some kids if they come by.
He sat on one of the swings with his pillowcase.
The only
in his
thing you're
lap.
missing, damn,
He
is a
kicked his
fucking
legs, and the
car.
swing moved back and
Which
forth.
you're not really
I
as
stood
scary,
there,
really.
hating him. I think I see some kids coming over the hill, I told Ethan.
Gosh,
I'm going to hide behind the slide and sneak up on them if they come over to you.
Go for it.
Ethan told me, his voice deep and distorted through the mask. I left Ethan on the swing set and walked over to the slide. I watched him on the swing as his hateful words rang in my ears. Tears came to my eyes.
Oh my
as I
God, what the
remembered my
hell
mom
happened to his
smiling
eye?
from her spot on the couch as she encouraged me to go out and have fun. She was such a good person. She never said anything negative about Ethan. In fact, she always complimented him on his grades and his wins in basketball and even his looks. You're going to be a handsome man someday, Ethan, she told him. I bet we'll see you in magazines someday.
Oh
Even
yeah,
after her kindness,
sure.
Ethan still felt it was okay to trash
After
her.
what that
I
bastard
heard
said,
him laughing
I
to
don't know
himself
about
across
that.
the
Yeah, look at
playground.
him. Fucking laugh.
I didn't know why exactly.
Wow,
I
this
thought I
makes
had a
me
pretty
literally
good
want to
idea.
kill every human
I
on this
reached in my
fucking
jacket
earth right
pocket for
now.
another cigarette.
People
hoping
like
the
this
smoke would calm me
all deserve to
down.
live.
But
Seriously.
it had come apart. My pocket was full of loose tobacco and paper and the lighter. Ethan was still
Whoa,
laughing
what is
as
he
I
gonna
fingered
do?
the lighter in my pocket for a second. Then I pulled it out. I
Whoa.
walked up behind him. Ethan didn't know
Fuck are
I
you
was
gonna
there
do with that?
as he shouted.
Okay, one more thing, and I'll never say anything about her again.
Wow,
Unless your dad's got a
he
big
was
dick,
talking all that
He'll never
shit.
manage to.
I flicked the lighter near the back of Ethan's
Ooh,
neck, right
he's
where it's
freaking
hit
out
and
now.
his neck.
He's
The hair
fucking.
went up
Oh,
quickly,
oh my God!
using
Look
his
at him.
hairspray as an
Wow.
accelerant. Then something happened I didn't expect. The mask burst into flames. Ethan jumped off the swing and ran in a loose circle, trying to pull the mask off his head. I saw it ripping under his fingers. He couldn't get it to work. The material bubbled. His screams barely muffled as the molten chemicals clung to his skin, echoing off the brick walls of elementary school.
Wow, this is what you get, you fucking
After a
ass.
few seconds, he fell and rolled around on the playground, pushing his head into the sand to try to put out the fire. He succeeded, but the damage was done.
You could do that.
He turned
You
over
could
on
have
his
actually
back,
done that the first
no
time,
longer screaming,
but
gasping in shallow, hyperventilated breaths.
Look
In
at
the
him.
moonlight,
I like
saw
Freddy
the mask
Krueger.
was completely covered to what remained of his skin. One of his eyes had completely burst. His other darted around, almost like he was confused and wondering where he was. I saw something moving on the other side of the field.
that
Kids
is
were coming.
creepy disturbing.
I yelled to them to call an ambulance, and I waited, unsure of how I felt, until the paramedics got there. I took complete responsibility for setting Ethan on fire. I said I had been sneaking
Well,
up to
you're not
scare him
wrong,
by flicking the
but
lighter
the
in
bastard
his
sure
face.
deserved that.
And yes, I got into a lot of trouble, but everyone believed it was an accident. Ethan's face was destroyed.
Oh my
He had skin
fucking
grafts and bone
heck!
grafts
What
and all
in
sorts
the
of
pink
reconstructive
eye is
surgery.
that?
But he never recovered, not physically or emotionally. He killed himself in 1990.
Jeez.
His parents held a very expensive funeral. I was invited. They had forgiven me for my part in his accident years before. In fact, their subsequent lawsuit
I'm
against the
surprised.
mask company
I'm surprised his
was
mom
using
didn't
Halloween
know about
masks
what he
are
said.
now made with flame retardant materials. My mom died a few years before Ethan, but not
Damn.
before complications from her diabetes took her left leg.
Ooh.
Dad and I were with her in the hospital. At the same time, Ethan's parents were there to see him through another round of reconstructive surgery. They visited Mom, Dad, and I while Ethan was still under, recovering after a successful set of grafts. We chatted for a while about Mom's hopes for recovery, and then the topic moved to Ethan. Ethan's mom was gushing about how a plastic surgeon had recently joined the hospital after working in Switzerland. He was the best. Apparently, he
Alright.
had taken on Ethan's case earlier in the year, albeit remotely. He wrote a substantial article about the new techniques he would be employing. In the world of plastic surgery, it made a big splash, if only for its ambition. Ethan's mom reached into her purse and pulled out the publication. She flipped it open to the page that showed various photographs of Ethan's burns, along with notes and explanations the doctor had written to accompany the article. I could tell Mom was holding back tears. I knew why, too. Her eyes met mine, and she couldn't hold back any longer. She began to weep. Dad and Ethan's mother held her while she cried. I just watched. Mom was thinking that she had been right all those years ago. She had been right for all the wrong reasons, but right nonetheless.
Really?
Just like she had predicted, Ethan's face had finally made it into a magazine.
Bro, that wasn't what she expected, really, to be handsome.
Halloween night 2002,
Oh, yeah.
21-year-old
Another
Chris
one.
Jenkins, a University of Minnesota student, went to celebrate the spookiest night of the year down at the Lone Tree Bar and Grill with his girlfriend, Ashley Rice, and 3 other friends.
Interesting boy.
Shortly after midnight,
Don't mind
Chris was
being
separated
here.
from his friends and ejected from the bar.
Do Saiyans get
According to
drunk?
reports later given to police, a drink was accidentally spilled on his pants,
Tried it, so...
and the security supervisor assumed that Chris was so intoxicated that he urinated
Not gonna
himself.
do it, really, but...
After Chris was removed, the security guard in question was given instructions not to let him back inside. Unfortunately for Chris, since his Native American Halloween
What the
costume had
hell
pockets,
is wrong
he
with
had asked
this
Ashley to
dude?
keep his wallet, keys, and cell phone in her purse for him, and his coat was left inside the bar on what turned out to be a chilly 20-degree night.
Oh...
Since he was not the designated driver, Chris was unable to get a ride home and could not contact his friends inside the bar. He was last seen headed away from the bar on foot, but did not return to his residence and was eventually reported missing.
Well,
On
that's what
February
happens when
27th,
you
the
walk
following
fuck
year,
alone.
Chris Jenkins' bloated, decaying corpse was found floating beneath a bridge on the Mississippi River. He was still
Seriously,
dressed in his Halloween costume, and
Stay
had
with your
been
friends,
wedged in the branches of a
slowly.
large tree located next to the upper
if you even want to go home,
Gulls Dam.
still, just stay with your
The
friends.
medical examiner
Just don't...
found no signs of foul
Jeez.
play on Chris's body, so the official cause of death was listed as drowning.
Drowning.
Despite the police ruling it a death by misadventure, his family launched their own independent investigation and discovered a number of odd discrepancies. The Jenkins family hired a private detective, Chuck Loesch, to further investigate their son's disappearance. When Loesch questioned staff at the Lone Tree Bar and Grill, they maintained that Chris left the bar on his own, and the venue's owner eventually issued a gag order instructing employees not to speak to anyone without an attorney. Loesch also contacted the Federal Reserve Bank, who happened to be the owners of the 2 CCTV cameras that had a good view of the Hennepin Avenue Bridge. The bridge was on the route that Jenkins was likeliest to have taken, but when the bank checked the surveillance footage from the earlier morning hours of November 1st, there was no sign of him.
What
The
the...
investigation also led him to multiple witnesses
Strange.
who each independently recalled a fight that had occurred in front of a local pizza place.
Why was he
Though it
fighting?
was unclear if the victim was Chris, a gang of around 9 or
Look
10
like him.
had violently attacked another outside of the restaurant.
Shh.
Mike Casey, an off-duty police officer, was
Jeez.
present in the area on the night of Jenkins' disappearance. He was moonlighting as a security guard for the nearby Hennepin Center for the Arts and was introduced to Jenkins by his girlfriend, Ashley Rice.
Strangers
Ashley happened
are
to work at the Lone Tree
creepy.
Bar and Grill and was familiar with Casey, well enough that she had borrowed pieces of his uniform to complete her cliched sexy cop costume. There are rumors that Casey had in fact masterminded Jenkins' removal from the bar as a way to get to Ashley, given that he actually gave her a ride home
So they have
that
sex?
night when her shift finished. The Minneapolis Police Department never formally questioned Casey, but stated that he's a married man with children. We don't want to break
Whoa.
up a family. An incriminating statement indeed. The Jenkins family went as far as hiring 2 separate groups of bloodhound trackers to trace Chris's scent from the Lone Tree Bar across the street to an underground parking garage. The scent trail led to parking stalls that one of the bar's bouncers was reportedly parked in on Halloween night. A bloodhound produced a mild hit for Chris's scent on this person's vehicle. Droplets of blood residue, a piece of red string, and red feather fragments which possibly belonged to the headband of
Interesting.
Jenkins' costume were also found in the garage. Jenkins' blood alcohol was only 0.12%, so he could not have been particularly drunk, but coroners noted that traces of GHB were found in Chris's system. However, since GHB is a substance which is produced by the body naturally, this did not necessarily mean Chris was drugged. Forensic
So he
pathologist
was
Dr. Michael
killed?
Baden took
Taken?
issue with Jenkins' body being found with his arms crossed in front of him. Drowning victims who accidentally fall into water are almost always found face down with their arms outwards towards their sides and their clothing disheveled. Yet Jenkins' shirt was tucked into his drawstring pants, and his oversized slip-on moccasins were
What happened to
still
his
unseated.
eyes?
This
This might
led
just
to speculation that Chris
I don't
was
even
already
know.
dead when he was placed in the river.
do not want to even
Hydrologists
know.
who study the Mississippi River were highly skeptical that Chris's body could have been in the water for as long as 4 months without ever being seen,
Shit.
as the river did not freeze over until January 2003. What's more, the area beneath the 3rd Avenue Bridge was searched in the weeks following his disappearance, with no sign of him. A daytime thawing occurred on February 27th, the day Chris was found, so he possibly floated from another location before his body got wedged in the trees.
Strange.
Jenkins' family found it extremely unusual that there was no bruising on his body. Their son was an enthusiastic
So
lacrosse player,
he
a goalie in
wasn't
fact,
beat up?
who often came home from
Or
practice
drugged?
with huge purple and yellow patches on
Then
his
how
legs
the
and
fuck
forearms.
did he get in that water?
Since these
Maybe-
bruises were not present,
Maybe somebody,
his parents believed he may
I
have
don't
been
know, maybe
alive
did,
for a couple of days
maybe
after
did
he
it to
went missing,
himself.
allowing enough time for his bruises to heal. 3 years later, in 2006, the Jenkins family met with Minneapolis Police Chief Tim Dolan, who had decided to reopen the investigation based on the newly attained evidence. Chris's death was eventually reclassified as a homicide, and Chief Dolan held a press conference to issue a formal apology to the Jenkins family. Years later, Dolan would state that he estimated Jenkins' death was 50% chance of homicide, 30%
Really?
chance of accidental death, and 20% chance of ending his own life.
I'm thinking the third
Once
one.
the case of Jenkins' death was reopened, an informant told authorities he had witnessed somebody throw Chris's body off the Hennepin Avenue Bridge into
Well,
the Mississippi River.
jeez, damn.
But there was skepticism about this story since Chris had no broken bones or injuries, and it would not have been
So,
possible to toss him over the
guess
bridge's high safety railing without
that
his
dude
body
did
hitting a
it.
steel support beam and vertical metal cables on the way down. In July 2007,
Oh,
the Hennepin
look at
County
this
District
dude.
Attorney's Office announced that
Creepy
they
as
had
hell.
approached
My rig will
about
punch him in his
filing
face.
charges against a suspect for Chris's murder, but declined to do so. The suspect in question was one Jeremy Alford, who was serving a life sentence for the brutal murder of a man by the name of Douglas Miller.
Douglas.
Alford admitted to being a regular drinker down at the Lone Tree Bar and Grill around the time of 2002. Chris's case also had been connected to the infamous Smiley Face Killer,
What
as
the
his death took place around the same time. Many college-aged men in the Midwest were discovered dead in bodies of
That
water
is
after a night of drinking.
creepy
Unlike many
smile?
of the other cited cases, no smiley face graffiti has ever been discovered in relation to Chris's death.
Strange.
I thought it would be kind of fun to share a spooky event that happened
Third
to me
story.
a few years ago around Halloween. I had just moved to my current flat in Rains Park, southwest London, and I was fairly unfamiliar with the area. Now, my current bosses and supervisors know that I'm fighting a losing battle when it comes to the reliability of the Southwest trains, and as a result have less than reliable timekeeping when it comes to arriving to work on time. A battle that I had hoped to circumvent with the purchase of a bicycle.
I don't know how
Sadly, though, the London
work
weather and my
is
inherent
with
idleness
you
jointly
humans,
conspire
but
to once
I'm
again force
pretty
me to
sure
take the
it's a
trains to
struggle,
and from
I'm
work.
guessing.
While some people are more than aware that the trains keep me from arriving to work on time, not many of you are aware of the troubles I have returning home. That is to say, I have many a time found myself stuck at Clapham Junction with no train to take me back to Rhines Park.
Oh,
In
damn.
these
That
circumstances, I have to
sucks.
take a bus to Wimbledon Common and walk the remaining 3 miles on foot. It is actually quite a pleasant walk. London doesn't have many hills if I walk along the ridge.
Those are some creepy
You can actually
pumpkins.
occasionally catch a nice view. True,
But good
it is of
ones
Croydon,
also.
but a nice view nonetheless. Now, to call Wimbledon Village a privileged area would be an understatement. The driveways are home to sports cars and luxury utility vehicles, so you can imagine I have very uneventful walks home. I rarely see anyone on the trip about, from the odd older couple, perhaps walking home from a late dinner party, or even a person walking their dog. The neighborhood is quiet and gets to bed early.
Too quiet.
And that night was just like the others, initially. I had gotten off the bus at the War Memorial, walked through the village center, and turned onto the Ridgeway. My phone battery had died somewhere between Wandsworth and Southfields, so I had to do the walk without music, and this always made the walk seem longer. My usual practice was to walk along and look at the houses and try to guess what the people that lived in the houses would be like.
A human just
Fast
pretty
car,
much
business
sucks.
types,
And you
SUV
can't
toys still in
fly.
the front yard,
You
larger family, that kind
can't
of
run
thing.
fast.
I was playing my game and
Man,
decided to have a cigarette,
sucks
so I
to be
stopped.
human.
I was searching for my lighter and looking around when I noticed that I was not the only one on the street. Now,
Really?
this was unusual but hardly alarming. What was strange, however, was that
What
the person
the
wasn't the sort I had
heck?
grown used to seeing. It was a young lady. She appeared to be drunk, or tired perhaps. I lit my cigarette and paused
Look
for
like
a
she's
second.
crying.
Just a
not
quick second
drunk,
to judge to see if she would be
tired.
capable of making it home by herself, or perhaps maybe she would need me to call someone for her. It was at this point that I realized that she was crying.
Yeah,
I
definitely
started to walk
crying.
over to
Yep.
her to make sure she was alright. She stopped walking and immediately froze. I noticed that she was in some sort of Halloween costume.
That didn't like
A
Halloween
schoolgirl,
costume.
in fact.
That's not even a mask.
And as I got closer, I began to realize that
And
she
plus
was
an
in fact
outfit like
around the
it's
age
just
of
regular.
15 or 16. She was deathly
So I
blonde.
wouldn't call
Her makeup
that
must have been
a
professionally
Halloween
done,
costume.
or she had spent an incredibly long time preparing it. I began to think that maybe her friends had made fun of her costume, and she had run off
Yeah,
from whatever party
sure.
she had been at, drunk and upset. I started to feel a bit unnerved when I noticed that she was staring directly at me as I approached. I can assure you that in a city the size of London, we have an unspoken rule of avoiding eye contact with strangers at all costs. It was at this point I assumed that she was under the influence of something other than alcohol, and I decided to be a bit more cautious. I stopped about 4 or 5 feet away from her and spoke. "Are you okay? You seem to be a little upset. Are you in any sort of trouble?" Nothing from her part aside from
That doesn't look like
"Have you had a little too
trouble.
much to drink? Maybe some smoke?" Yeah, right. I know hallucinogens when I see them. There was still no response. "Do you need a taxi home? Do you remember where you live?" At this, the girl began to cry, but this time, she was absolutely wailing. I could feel her raw sense of despair. I actually flinched at the sound. It was positively unbearable. She was dancing on the border of hysterics, perhaps even putting one foot along the line to see what would happen. I was stunned. I wanted to console her and run in equal measures.
You
I wanted
can
to
actually
comfort her
run.
and chastise at the same time. All I managed was a meek, "Why are you crying?"
Otherwise, just
She
get
must have
killed.
heard me somehow.
Makes me
Because she
pretty
began
happy,
to draw
really.
herself back from the edge of what can only be described as a complete breakdown. She was still heavily sobbing, but once again, she brought her eyes up to mine and
Why she's
said,
getting close to him.
very softly, "Because you're gonna die."
Whoa!
I've been unfortunate enough to witness
Oh.
death firsthand
Must
on more
be,
than one
I'm
occasion.
guessing,
Suffice it to say that these events have always left me with a lot to think about.
what do you call it?
And I in
Must
fact
be
have come to terms with my own
a
mortality quite early in
psycho
life.
person.
It struck me that perhaps, like too many
A
of us
psychic
had,
person.
this young lady had someone quite close to her die recently. Perhaps she was going through the same dark realizations that follow being in the company of death. The same thoughts that can keep children up at nights and the pews full of churches. I wanted to let her know that everything would be fine and that death was simply a part of life. All
Death
I
could actually
managed,
come
however,
upon
was
you.
slightly incredulous. "I know." At this, she seemed slightly taken aback, almost angry. She responded, "You are going to die, and he is going to kill you."
Hey,
Alarms went off in my head. I began
this
to
is
feel a
very
bit more
stupid.
threatened. I decided right then and there that talking this girl down from whatever bad high she was on was
Doesn't
no
look
longer my
high.
responsibility.
She's probably a
Not the
person that
venerable
came
Hunter
from a
S.
different
Thompson
place
himself
or realm.
warned us of the dangers of underestimating the ability of a drug to take control of a person.
Drug. Doesn't look like
good luck.
drug.
I said, and with that, turned and began to walk away. After about 5 steps, I quickly looked back to see her still standing there. She put her head down and began to
Yeah,
audibly
if I were
chant
you,
again.
listen, if I were you, might just show your armies. I would just literally just run.
I quickened my
And
pace,
don't look
and
back.
shortly had walked along the natural bend in the road,
Even if she
leaving her out
chased
of
you,
sight.
just
I love to be
ask for help.
agitated. I remember putting my
heck,
headphones
ask
back
me
in my ears
to
and
show
trying to
you
listen to music from my
Come to
phone,
do it.
only to be
Because
reminded that
I
I was still out of
don't
power.
mind.
I was still 2 miles away from home,
And plus,
but at the pace I
it's
was
fucking
walking,
whatever.
I was confident I could cover the ground in less than 20 minutes. No less than 2 minutes later,
What the hell was
when I
that?
first heard the shouting.
Oh, like Michael
It was
Myers.
a man's voice, layered within an excruciating sense of malice and rage.
What?
I am coming for you.
Okay,
I couldn't quite
that's
place
never
where
mind.
the
That's
voice
not
had come
Michael
from,
Myers. He don't
but it
fucking
seemed
talk.
as though he was at some distance behind me.
But he go
on the
like
same
him.
road, possibly from where the girl had been. I immediately realized that I was to be the victim of some sort of Halloween prank. I didn't have to slow down.
On Halloween,
I
anything could
imagined at
happen.
this point that I was supposed to get scared
Yeah,
and
run
begin
your
to
ass
run,
off. Yes.
and I was determined not to play along. The man yelled again, and this time he seemed to be significantly closer.
Oh,
I hate you.
whoa,
Now, the voice
what
had
the
seemed to
hell?
come from somewhere close by behind me. That is to say, at the volume of the voice, I would have expected to have
Actually-
seen the man addressing me, but I was still very much alone on the street. I was walking quite fast, so
I
the
have no
person yelling
idea
at me must have been
what that
running.
person did to
Yet
this
I heard
person.
no other footsteps. There was obviously more than one prankster, and they had
More?
various hiding spots
What
along
the hell?
street.
What?
I quickly decided
That-
to be a rather poor sport and cut off the main road and go down Thornton Road by the
Oh,
saloon pub.
oh,
I hate to admit that their practical
these are
jokes
not.
had gotten
These
the
are
better of me,
not
and I did not want to
prankers.
see what they had in store for me next. I made it to the front of the second house on the street when I heard that terrible voice shout at me again.
You are going to die.
Okay, we get
This
it.
time
He's
the
gonna
voice seemed to have
die.
come from the
How he's gonna
entrance of the
die?
street.
I want to
less than
see
80
it.
feet
I don't
away.
mind.
Perhaps a last chance at scaring me before I disappeared into the darker side of the street. Since these streets were darker, I decided that I would lose no pride in starting to jog down the hill. I knew it was all probably fun and
That's a
games,
funny
but the
jogs.
ferocity of the shouting left me worried that I could in fact be dealing with a real maniac.
Yeah, real
It would have been
killer.
interesting to be a part of the most elaborate mugging I had
Psycho
ever heard
fucking
of.
killer that came from
But
a
that voice
silent
just
puppy.
left me with the impression of true hatred. I didn't want to meet the person, or people rather, that could mimic and channel such malignant feelings at will. I had made it to the curve where Thornton Road becomes Thornton Road, when all of a sudden,
Oh,
I will kill you.
what
this time the voice seemed to be
fuck?
directly to the right of me. He must have been hidden behind the fence of some house, or perhaps
Yeah,
even
if that
within the
person said that
house
to
itself.
me, I am
I had
not
obviously
gonna
walked
take
right into their
no
trap.
question and
I
just
broke into a
end
sprint at
that
this
person's
point.
life.
Pride
Even if
was
it's a
down.
prank,
I began to
fuck
run
with
quite
the
fast,
wrong
and then
saying
faster,
to do that
straight
on.
downhill. At this point,
That's not
I actually
nice.
was starting to panic. My mind was playing terrible tricks on me, and it seemed as though the voices were all around me.
Oh my god,
constantly
what
yelling
the
at me,
hell?
Constantly screaming. Up ahead was the main road, Whirlpool Road to be precise. Well lit, busy, and I could hail a cab and be home in minutes. But the voices, the immensity.
I think I'm gonna
I
be sick.
hate you, you coward. Die.
The
Die.
fuck?
Die.
Every second, all around
This
me,
is like a
the adrenaline
damn
must have been heightening
nightmare.
my every sense. I admit, I was scared, and it seemed as though for some reason that terrible voice was booming off every surface on the street. It felt as
It
though
looked
I
like-
was
it looked like
simultaneously
everything
running
is getting
away
darker.
and into a mad rage.
Oh my
Words
god,
felt like
bro!
bursts of terrible hot wind, pushing its venomous anger at me. I
He
couldn't
is
take it
fucking
anymore.
coming
The voice
closer.
seemed to make me share that
Holy
same intense
shit!
anger, and I thought to myself, "Am I the one shouting?" And I felt like a victim.
He's gonna grab him.
Kill the people who
What
were
the hell?
playing this fucked up trick on me.
Oh my
I felt the
gosh.
hatred.
Time
Yeah.
to die, coward.
He's feeling hatred.
Hate you.
He's
I
feeling
decided
it.
to give up.
Let it
In one
fucking
quick
just control
moment,
you.
I decided I would stop running as fast as I could and have a cigarette and wait for these people to show themselves. I quickly stopped running and spun around.
Oh. He almost got ran over.
A car beeped as it raced past exactly where I would have run to had I not stopped at that exact moment.
You'll be fucking dead. You'll be just... Oh,
my
blood
blind
be
panic,
everywhere.
I had run past the sidewalk of the main road and onto the actual road
Oh my
and had avoided
gosh.
being run down by inches. I looked up the road I had come from. Darkness. Silence.
Oh,
Whoever had been up
excuse
there
me.
was gone now. I
Hashtag
lit my
you would go
cigarette
Goku
and took a few
in the
moments to calm
comments.
down.
And thank you.
Smoking had saved my life that night. I went home
Smoking's
after
fucking
that,
bad.
and nothing more happened to me. But as I was standing there trying to calm down, working through the panic and adrenaline, I seemed to remember hearing a soft whisper. Perhaps it's just my imagination, but I thought I heard a girl's voice, softly saying, "Not such a coward after all."
That is wow. My gosh. All I can say to that right there is it was terrifying. My gosh. I'm still really in disbelief that fucking, I don't know, that dude I don't know to describe it, but he was so close to him. He almost it felt like he was about to hit him or just jump on top of him. And wow, he almost got hit by a car. And if he get by a car like that, it'll be over just like that. And it's crazy it happened like that. Wow. But man, if you guys enjoy this reaction video or the video I reacted to, send the description below if you watch it yourself. And if you enjoyed the video that I also reacted to, just show the like button, comment, and subscribe as well to the channel. Keep notifications so you miss any video. For your Supreme Destroyer saying, as always, my destroyer armies, and I'll catch you next time. Keep on destroying planets and conquering the galaxy.